Alright, I might not be visible today, but this is my Python series and we'll be continuing with the series. Let me just quickly open all the software required. And for the commencement, I already created the concession program as a revision. So I didn't have to post this video, but I'll do it anyway, just for the video streak. I created this concession program itself, chawal, roti, dal, paneer, basically a menu where you would input something and it will iterate it until you want to put all these items. If you put anything other than these items, then the else statement will be used. And we have .lower.strip just for the sake of no input errors, and then we have q for orders and elif. This statement is basically printing the key values, total values over here for the total, and then you'll have card.append. Everything will be stored in the card that you're going to input. And we have items.get, that this is a basic inbuilt function. And items.get, you want to get something from that items that you have put yourself, and that will be added in the card from here. So yeah, this was the simple easy program, and we were actually discussing the functions. So I was about to revise the upcount function revision, but let's just skip it for now. And actually, day after tomorrow, I'll have this holiday. So we'll do a 2 hour or 3 hour session because I'll be really free on these days and won't be having much work to do. So basically, we were revising, we were doing the uh, positional, POSITI, positional arguments, the functional and key arguments in functions. But today we have to do the third one, that is code Python. Yeah.
Just to test it.
Yeah, so I was revising the concession program, key arguments in key, and we'll have to we did the positional, we did the default and keyword, and now we have to do the arbitrary.
These parameters, if function any equals the current arg that we're iterating over, then at the end I will return the total. Let's print the result. Print, add these three numbers together. There we are. My total is 6. Then we can pass in any amount of arguments. For this time, maybe 5.
So we did only the keyword arguments, and we have to creating program using a default arguments. This is the program, and using keyword arguments, this was the program. Basically, uh, you have to put it before positional. अगर if we put the positional behind the keyword argument, it will automatically show us an error, but it basically works simultaneously, but with conditions itself. So we have this, we'll have to put the chapter with respect to your name, and then moral and further. So we have this context. Yeah, this was, and we already know how function works. We just return it somewhere and just print it somewhere. So let's go with arbitrary and key. What was that? Arguments and arguments, arbitrary arguments.
The current if the parameters quarks. And the arbitrary function, it could be helpful to apply the amount of arguments. We don't know how many arguments the user is going to pass in when they invoke a function. To accept a varying amount of arguments, developers tend to use these parameters of args and kwargs. Args means arguments. Kwargs means keyword arguments. You would want to prefix each of these parameters with the unpacking operator, which is an asterisk. When you invoke a function that has args or kwargs as parameters, you will pack all of those arguments into a tuple if it's args, or a dictionary if the parameter's quargs. Let's go over an example. I will create a function to add two numbers together. Define add function. There will be two parameters, a, comma, b. All I'm going to do is return a plus b. I will invoke this function, pass in two arguments because we have two parameters set up, 1, comma 2. Then I'm going to print the result. Big surprise there, my function returned 3. Alright, well, what if I would like to pass in 3 parameters this time? Well, I can no longer use this function. The add function takes 2 positional arguments, but 3 were given. I could modify this function so that it could accept a varying amount of arguments, any amount. I'm going to replace the parameters with asterisk, then the word args, meaning arguments. So when we use the unpacking operator, what's going to happen now is that with the arguments that we pass into this function, we will pack them all into a tuple. And if you don't believe me, let's test it. I'm going to print the type of args. Then I'm going to remove this print statement for now. My parameter args is a tuple that I could work with. We can use the built-in methods of this tuple, or we could iterate over it. I'm going to iterate over this tuple. For every arg, print statement. What's going to happen now is that with the arguments that we pass, so when we use the unpacking operator, what's going to happen now is that with the arguments that we pass into this function, we will pack them all into a tuple. And if you don't believe me, let's test it. I'm going to print the type of args. Then I'm going to remove this print statement for now. My parameter args is a tuple that I could work with. We can use the built-in methods of this tuple, or we could iterate over it. I'm going to iterate over this tuple. For every arg in args, for every argument in arguments, what we'll do is create a variable named total to keep track of the total. Total plus equals the current arg that we're iterating over. Then at the end, I will return the total. Let's print the result. Print, add these 3 numbers together. There we are. My total is 6. Then we can pass in any amount of arguments. 4 this time, maybe 5, or even 1. With my parameter args, you can change this name to something else, like nums, meaning numbers, for every num in nums. Total plus equals num. This would work too. The name of the parameter isn't as important as the unpacking operator. Just by typical naming conventions, people tend to stick with args, but the parameter name can vary. Let's try a different example. Let's create a function to display some.
Okay. Asterisk args and asterisk k key quarks. What does args is what args does allows you to pass multiple non-key arguments. Args allows you to pass multiple non-key value arguments. Alright, so example program example program example program for args. Let's say we have to use a function. We want to add the function and use args and args. Alright, so we have to do something with the arguments here. So what we will do is for arg and arg arg and arg print return we'll use total to input it arg return full total and print add. Now we can add 1 2 3 4 5. But what we have to do with it, arg in args we are not defining arg is equal to arg plus 1. What does this do? It returns 0. No insights in here. Total तो यहाँ पे total is equal to total plus 1. ये हुआ plus num. Total is equal to num and total 1 क्यों आ रहा है?
The name of the parameter isn't as important as the unpacked name. There we are. Print. Then at the end, I will return the total. Let's print the result. Print. Add these three numbers together. There we are.
Return total. Yeah.
My total is 6. Then we can pass in any amount of arguments. 4 this time. Maybe 5. Plus will tend to stick name. We will accept a varying amount of arguments. Use the unpacking operator, then follow the unpacking operator with the unique parameter name. For every arg in args, let's print each argument, then replace the ending character of my print statement with a space. Now, sometimes people can have a varying number of names in their full name. There can be a first name, middle name, last name, maiden name, a title, etc. So I'm going to pass in just a first name and a last name. SpongeBob SquarePants. If I need to add a middle name, I can do that. SpongeBob Harold SquarePants. Or a title, Dr. SpongeBob Harold SquarePants the third. Yeah, as I was saying, with the unpacking operator, followed by a unique parameter name, you can pack all of these arguments into a tuple, which you can use within this function. Now let's discuss kwargs. You use two unpacking operators.
Okay, work. Hmm. Add, add, दिया था नहीं. What are the cheers? Labura.
With the unpacking operator, followed by a unique. You use two unpacking operators. Then typically people follow this with the word kwargs, meaning keyword arguments. It allows you to pass multiple keyword arguments, which we discussed in the last topic. I think this would be great for an address. Define print address function. Use double asterisks. Then we can add a parameter name, but people usually stick with kwargs, meaning keyword arguments. Just as a placeholder, I'm going to type pass. Pass doesn't do anything. I want this program to be able to run. We'll get back to this function momentarily. I'm going to invoke this function, print address, then pass in multiple keyword arguments. With an address, you would typically have a street, a city, state. Depending on what country you live in, you may have more or less of these keyword arguments. I live in the United States. We have a state. Then a zip code. Okay, my street will be... I'm just making something up here.
I think that is enough for today, bro. I'll continue this lecture for 2 hours today, and I'm really serious about it, but it's getting late. It's already getting 3 a.m. and I cannot do this anymore. Alright, it's already been 19 minutes into this video, and I'll be cutting it off at this point, and I'll be continuing this video again tomorrow. I already did the concession program and revision for the basic Python programs, so we'll continue this tomorrow. Alright, okay, bye everyone.